recently celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day to honor Dr. King and to recognize the civil rights struggles of our nation. Joining us to explain what we can learn from the past and also from current events is Derreck Kayongo, the new CEO of the National Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta.
Thank you for having me.
So there have been a lot of civil rights issues that have come up in the last year. How have they impacted your work at the Center for Civil and Human Rights?
You know, it has really been an incredible year, the past one. We've seen issues like the refugees from Syria who have fled home to go look for a new haven, a safe haven. We've seen human trafficking as one of the biggest problems out there, environmental issues and rights that have been challenged. But most important of all, we saw the Supreme Court come down with a judgment around LGBT rights. So the center is going to be the place for us to convene these voices and to articulate and show the context in which these rights have been actually fought for. And so we're a place of history, we're a place of remembrance, we're a place of inspiration. So that's what the center has been able to do, is to look through the eyes of these people who fought for these rights.
So it sounds like the center has a very clear mission. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and what the center has to offer?
Well, its mission is rights for all. You know, that's what we're trying to do here, is to figure out how do we give everybody rights. You know, if we took away the right for a woman to drive, we would collapse the economy of car manufacturing. If we took away rights one by one, you'd start to see a society shrinking. So what the center's goal here is to really use the stories of the past, the civil rights movement, for example, which is really at the core of the center, to show how people like Martin Luther King were able to forge a path out of these particular horrible discussions. So the March on Washington is a big place for him to give that big speech, I have a dream for you and I to be equal. You know, then you see people like Eleanor Roosevelt, you see people like Gandhi, people who have fought for human rights that include everybody like you and I. But then also we show the protagonists, people like Idi Amin, Adolf Hitler, Pinochet. These juxtapositions tell the story that we see today, evil versus good. And that's what the center has done very well, to show you how rights for all are fought for.
Right. It's so important to remember and honor the legacy of Dr. King. You have some items at the Center for the Civil and Human Rights that honor that legacy, right?
Yes, we do. At the very bottom of the center, there's artifacts that show his letters and his writing, real handwriting, his speech that he gave at the Nobel Peace Prize, you know, things that really you and I would really benefit from. His papers are in there. So that work, and indeed the work of others, is what is at the center and at the heart of what we're doing. So come and see us.
All right, and in your own words, tell us about your own personal struggles and successes before you were named CEO of the center.
You know, I'm originally Ugandan, as you can tell from a beautiful accent. I left Uganda at the age of 10 and grew up in Kenya, in Nairobi, as a refugee. I was raised in Kenya by a woman from Pittsburgh, Marge Campbell. But you know, as you travel out to become a refugee, you see violence against humanity. You see people being killed. You see a lack of clean water, poor sanitation. These are things that I saw firsthand, and they sort of entered me and ushered me into this struggle around rights. And then I got a chance to come to the US to go to school, and I became an American. And when I became an American, the first thing I did was vote. And you know what? The reason why I was able to vote was because of the civil rights movement. If it wasn't for the civil rights movement, I would have never been able to vote. So I understood the power of rights. And so I come to this position as CEO for the Center for Civil and Human Rights with the understanding of the work that has to be done around protecting people's rights. Because when you do protect their rights, they start to look like me. They start to do things that are magical. They become doctors and lawyers, and they contribute to society. That's what is powerful about civil and human rights.
And where can we get more information?
Well, for those of you who are interested, and we hope that all of you are, come to civilandhumanrights.org. Civilandhumanrights.org is where you can find all the work that we're doing.
Derreck, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll link to the Center for Civil and Human Rights on our website, coffeewithamerica.com.